Hi everyone. Um, I'm watching uh, Amazon Prime, and I found that there is a new movie. The Moonies married to the cult, and I haven't seen it yet. I heard a few comments, but I wanted to comment on it and make short videos afterwards. So I will be going through the film and commenting after every part of it, and then I'll patch together the whole thing. Okay, first impressions from the first minute and 20 seconds. Um, I can relate to it. A young man um, abandons their home, most do, uh, in search of some ideals and some role model called the Messiah. Uh, the second comment was interesting, that you have to abandon everything to follow the Messiah. And for some reason, this preacher, Christian preacher, thinks this is strange, a strange thing to say, even though it was Jesus who said this. So that's quite interesting. Let's move. Now, immediately in the next 30 seconds, there are a bunch of statements that are very interesting. People have to work for Moon. I was one of the people that was a missionary, and I wasn't working for Moon. I was working for a higher ideal, like many young people. They choose some cause and they want to work and live for it. Is it world peace? Do I believe it brought the world closer to world peace? Yes, I do. Can I be wrong? Yes, I can be wrong. Do I have the right to my opinion? I think I do. And I think I don't see why this is controversial, is my point. Now, the statement that he's gonna control and dominate the world is very strange. I don't know that he said this. I think what many times I've heard is that it's not just the Unification Church saying this, that God needs to control the world. And whoever is kind of on the side of God is trying to act on behalf of God. And in this case, my personal impression and my research over the years is that yes, Reverend Moon acts, believing he acts on behalf of God. Does he want the world to be under his control? No, no. But does he want the world to be under the control of God? Yes. Okay, interesting. An interesting, we don't know who he is, probably a priest-looking man anyway, said that people were not following the reality. And that's an interesting statement. What is the reality? I'm trying to figure out all my life. I'm listening to different people, and it doesn't seem people have a clear definition of this. Everyone has some kind of vision and desire for their life. What is reality, though? But let's see what they say by what they mean by this. So now a figure called the journalist appears in the movie, and she's investigating, and it seems like she agrees that America is searching for spiritual meaning, and that's a good thing. So let's see what she says. So this so-called journalist is starting immediately to thread a narrative that the world is a bad place and there is a lot of conflict, which, okay, let's see what she means by this. We know the facts, the world is unfair, and at the train station, there were always these young and attractive people going to young people. Is this bad? Always alone, always young, always carrying backpacks. How many young people do we see in packs and going around? It's like, what are you talking about? So there she goes again, starting to make a kind of her own narrative about the whole story. In her opinion, the people that were being approached were vulnerable. Obviously, she's trying to paint a picture. She's not reporting objectively. So let's see what else she has to say. They said they were a Christian youth group. And the researcher says they're not Christians, they're Moonies. That's a lie, because we believe, I'm a member of the Unification movement. I've done a lot of research over the years, and every guidance and revelation that Reverend Moon received was from Jesus. That's what he claims. Whether she believes it or not, this is irrelevant. What what the founder of the faith says has to be taken at equal value. She cannot just disregard it and call it a lie, because straight away she's creating a narrative, and she's lying, actually. So like a concerned mother, like now she impersonates, she wants to be presented as a mother figure who sees, oh, well, she was probably very young, probably a teenager herself, as a young journalist, but suddenly she's a mother. So even though now she's probably 50, 60, I don't know exactly the age, now she looks like a mother, but back then she wasn't a mother. She was just one of the teenagers. But suddenly she felt very, very concerned for these young people, as if she was their mother. There you go. Now she goes to her boss and she asks her boss to allow her to go into the church to be recruited to do investigation in the church as an agent. So now John appears, and in his own testimony, he was traveling around America, wondering what to do, hippie probably, and every day was an adventure. So young men approached by young people who say they have a vision for a better future for the world, and they invite him to visit and find out what happens. And I know many stories that many hippies went to other colonies that were not Christian, but that was okay. That was the sexual revolution, and that was fine. Okay, he found new friends. They had lectures every day, and there are solutions to save the world. Let's see what happens. Now again, the journalist spy is there, and she's creating a narrative that every minute was taken away from these people, and they were love bombed, and that's a bad thing. Now another figure, John presents our main character in the movie, which is his so-called spiritual parent. And the journalist who infiltrates the camp as a spy has parental feelings of care, but no one else has the right to have parental feelings, is the feeling that comes from this thread of narrative. Now the narrator journalist cuts off the man speaking, and she gives her own version of who Moon is, which is very interesting. Now the journalist completely fails as a journalist. I cannot believe the nonsense she's saying. She's saying that Moon was talking to God and he created his own version of the Bible. That's false. She hasn't listened to any of the lectures or read any of the speeches in which Reverend Moon says that he was actually instructed over a nine-year period by Jesus Christ. And Jesus came at the age of 16 to him to delegate the mission to him, which I'm quite surprised she doesn't mention. So the narrator says something very interesting, which is very misleading also. He says that Reverend Moon came to America because he was searching for souls there. It's actually false, because Reverend Moon, the reason he came to America is because America is God's champion in the world. And he believes that America was losing its connection to God and its blessing from God. And he felt called to do whatever he can to reconnect America back to God. But let's see what else they say. Now the main character comes up, cut off by the narrator and the journalist, but he manages to say a few words. And he's saying that the vision was great to save the world, and that he was very inspired by it. And that's not a good thing, apparently. Now Barbara comes up, a new character, and the questions that bother her result from indoctrination, surprisingly, because I come from a communist country. All the wars, all the suffering, all the troubles in the world, and she's traveling herself looking for answers. Let's see what she finds. Barbara's experience is beautiful. She meets all these people, and they're all praying for cosmic blessings and beautiful things to happen to the world. Now Gary appears, a new character. just the previous lady, she said beautiful things, that there was no sexuality, and even though she was attracted to somebody, uh, the guidelines were to keep your purity before marriage. And she didn't seem to think that this was a bad thing, but she felt guilty that she was attracted to this man because she felt she needs to be pure to save the world. And I don't find this strange, but let's see what happens after. So now Gary comes, and he was very worried about the war in Vietnam. Why? We know why. Now Gary went to a 40-day workshop. He was studying the divine principle, the revelation given by Jesus to Reverend Moon. But he says something very strange. He says that this book was teaching him that every other religion had failed. And that's completely wrong in my understanding, because the way that principle tries to explain things is that every religion moved the world closer to God, and then a new revelation had to come, and a new light was shed, and new direction was shown. So I don't know why Gary chooses to twist this like this. Now Gary come to an interesting conclusion that what Reverend Moon says in his book was right, and he has to commit his life to Reverend Moon. And here he loses me, because I was not interested in the person of Reverend Moon when I joined. I was interested in the person of God, and I was seeing Reverend Moon as a messenger of God, and the things that are said are not really Reverend Moon's things, it's God's messages. So my understanding was, we need to understand God, and we need to understand people who understand God, and we all need to kind of come to terms and help make the world a better place. So Gary actually decided he's in a cult. He decided he's in it for Moon. And I have to say, this is not Reverend Moon's problem, it's Gary's problem, because I went through the similar experiences, but I was not looking for an idol to follow, to create myself, to create a cult to which to belong. I was looking for wisdom that comes from God, and Reverend Moon is one of the people that brings incredible wisdom, so I wanted to learn. Interesting. So now, interesting, Gary decided that he's recruiting people for Moon. So he was actually in a cult that he created by himself, because most of the people I know don't share his understanding from within the movement that are following Reverend Moon, not just as like active participants, but even people who are just interested in the movement. They try to read the books and listen to the lectures and listen to the speeches. They don't come to Gary's conclusions, which is very interesting. Also, Gary says something very interesting when he's approaching people to recruit for himself to lecture. He was looking for vulnerable people, which were looking for meaning, which like I find this very strange, because every young person is looking for meaning, and every young person feels, he's vulnerable or she's vulnerable. So why does Gary pick on this movement to say that only this movement looks for these people? It's very interesting. It's making a thread which it's intentional. Like, he's not saying this for no reason. He's trying to portray the movement in a negative fashion, even though he himself, contrary to many people that I know, decided that he has to follow a cult. Whether he did so intentionally or not, this is another thing, because I know many people were sent to the Unification movement to pretend to follow in order to destroy the movement from within, like communists did with many other churches and organizations. So that's interesting. So now comes the cheeky journalist. She makes a very funny statement. She said, I thought there would be zombies. And she met really beautiful young people on the street. But then she thought that when she joins the organization, there'll be zombies in it. That's really weird. She's a weird. Now, this is another thing. From the moment she enters, wherever she was going, she already knew that these people were being brainwashed. So that's her conclusion before she does her investigation. So now the narrative threader journalist, she contradicts the love bombing with withdrawal when important questions were asked. And I don't know whom she was talking to, but I talked to very intelligent people, and by the sound of it, the place they were at had young, intelligent people. So when I was talking to intelligent people, my questions were always answered. So why is she saying nobody answered the questions and everybody withdrew as if don't ask this question again? And this was a form of manipulation. She's trying to explain that this is how they manipulate people. When you ask the right question, they love you. And when you ask the wrong question, they don't love you anymore. They don't want to talk to you. I don't know such people in the movement. When I asked questions, they were answered. But it's very interesting. Let's see what she says more. So, very interesting statement she makes at the end of this segment. She says it was psychologically exhausting, but she doesn't give examples of what except the previously mentioned. Asking questions and the questions not being answered was psychologically exhausting for some reason, even though my experience of talking to intelligent young people is they have an answer, or at least they have a guess about things, but she was not answered. And this was how she was manipulated, according to her. Now, this narrative threader journalist, who obviously has been paid to create a very negative piece, again tries to omit few very important elements about the mass wedding, so-called, marrying strangers. From my understanding and my reading different speeches and talking to many different people, my understanding is that the whole idea why this was done in this way was to marry people from enemy nations. And the idea behind was that when you connect to lineages that don't like each other, from nations that don't like each other or even hate each other, you create a bridge of love, which is not easy to bridge, it's not easy to go over, but it allows for faster reconciliation between nations. And for whatever reason, she decided she wants to omit this fact, which is, I think, very, very naughty of her, to say it very mildly, very naughty, if not manipulative, but really to a big degree manipulative, because this is a key element and very important element. Like, it really explains the meaning of why these things are done the way they're done. Now, another funny thing, she says the first couples that he married, that they married with his wife or blessed with his wife, were the founding couples. But she doesn't explain something very important. And this was that these couples, there were three different type of couples. So there were people who were previously married, 12 of them. There were people who had chosen each other, 12 of them. And there were 12 people who were actually matched by him. So, yeah, interesting, she forgets to mention this. So she makes a statement that these are pure perfected people. They're very sacred people. And this contradicts our understanding and the guidance we receive. And of course, she brings the same Christian pastor to make few statements. But let's try to clarify the point of this is the beginning of a journey. These are not specially qualified, perfected people. They are at the beginning of the journey to become a couple, to become a family. So we don't share her beliefs, and I have no idea where she gets this from. So that's completely false. Now comes Sam Park. He is one of the privileged ones because even though he probably won't mention it, but he was part of the families that were very close to Reverend Moon, and they lived quite a privileged life compared to everybody else. But I want to see if he mentions this. But let's see what he wants to say about this kind of life. Now, obviously, Mr. Pak has not read a lot or made a lot of effort to understand many things. But he complains that a lot of pressure was put on him, that the blessed children are set to carry the burden of the world on their shoulders. And I can't say that I agree with this also. There is expectation, but also there is expectation for success. But and like every parent wants their children to succeed. And since the movement is trying to save the world, of course, like we would love the second generation, the children, to save the world and to be happy and to find love. But the way he says it is very interesting because it sounds like the way he understands it, that this is some kind of forced mechanical thing. You have to, it's not about understanding God's love. It's not about understanding the love that governs the universe and becoming part of this love. He believes that he needs to be uh, forced into things that he doesn't want to do. And this is also very interesting because people who want to live the movement can live the movement. People who don't want to stay. I met many people like this. I worked with many people like this who decided they don't want to be part of the movement. They left. No one was chasing after them. No one was persecuting them. Of course, like maybe people were not happy that they left, but yeah, like why would he say this, that he was forced to stay? I think it's more his understanding of the situation. And I understand as a child, maybe he felt like this, but every child in every family feels what the parents are saying is forced upon them. So to make this like a generalized conclusion about the movement is, especially in this kind of type of narrative that they're threading, is actually, I think, very incorrect, factually incorrect. If they want to link it with the rest of the story, that this is a bad place and bad people, and for some reason, like, these are bad parents, they're bad husbands and wives. Like, how dare you say such things? Your own personal experience may be your own personal experience. You can't generalize this about everybody. Nobody's saying that all of you who left are evil people. We just move on. Life is hard for everyone. Why do you have to make a movie like this now? Of course you make a buck, that's okay. But like, you're spinning really a terrible narrative here. Now, this is a false statement again by Mr. Pak. He says the blessing is the ultimate pinnacle for every Moonie. He probably doesn't understand the teachings, I guess. Like, he probably was never interested, but the pinnacle of every person in the Unification movement is to be one with God. It's not the blessing. The blessing is just the beginning. You want to build a relationship with a person, build a family, learn to love your children, because these are the stages of love. A child of God, husband and wife, brother and sister, then husband and wife, and then a parent. And these are the stages of love. Why he makes this statement, I don't understand, but it's incorrect, factually incorrect. Now, another lie, I don't know why he would lie like this. He says that holy wine was sprinkled on them. And it's incorrect factually. Ceremonially, holy water is sprinkled on them, and the holy wine is drunk. So that's factually incorrect. I don't know why he was not fact-checked. Now Mr. Pak is daydreaming again, or delusional, because he says Reverend Moon had the power of God, and he chose couples and put them together. Well, if you actually read the books, Mr. Park, or if you were ever interested to listen to anything except in a negative fashion, you will know that Reverend Moon had special ability, and in Korea there are special people, and you being Korean should know this. There are special matchmakers. These are people paid by families to come and investigate the lineage and the descendants of the couple. So how do the ancestors match together, and what kind of children will be produced by these couples? And matchmakers in Korea, they charge a lot of money, and they investigate the lineage and give their opinion to the family whether this is a good marriage or not good marriage. So Reverend Moon, from a child, had this special ability to see the ancestors and the descendants of the people. So when he was looking at a couple, he was seeing the ancestors of one and the ancestor of the other, and he was seeing the descendants that would come out of this couple, and he would bless them in marriage, suggest them. Now, this is another thing. He makes a false statement. He suggests the matching. Reverend Moon doesn't force the matching. Of course, many people feel like they have to accept it. That's a different story. But he suggests the matching, and many people reject it. So you, Mr. Kim, are a liar. You tricky man. Getting a bug, that's fine, but that's a really, really naughty thing to say. Now, he read The Fall of Man, one lecture he was listening to, and he actually makes a good point here. So well done, Mr. Kim. It's not just criticism. We appreciate you not deviating from truth. Thank you. Now, Mr. Kim has been watching X-rated movies and thinking that they represent the unification tradition. That's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. We take it. You don't have to make it into a movie, though. And that's why I'm making this, because it's quite hilarious that he explains the 3-day ceremony. And to the members of the Unification Church, this is a very important and sacred ceremony and very meaningful ceremony. So to present it like, something that is forced upon them, I think it's very unfair. Of course, I understand him because he doesn't understand the connection between the person, the member, and God. Like, he doesn't believe this happens. It didn't happen to him, so he by default assumes that everyone else is just doing it because of some kind of fanatic beliefs, or like they're not looking for any deeper meaning. Sorry, Mr. Kim, we have to disappoint you. We're actually looking for deeper meaning, and to many of us, this is just a ceremony. It's nothing to it. It's just something that we do because we understand the symbolism. And honestly, like in my case, I was very happy there was a ceremony because I was very nervous about the whole thing. So when there was something to do, you knew you have to do this, then do this. I felt like, oh, thank goodness. That's a good thing, that we have something to follow. Now, interesting, the lady comes up again, not the journalist, the other one. Sorry, I don't remember names easily, so please, my apologies. She comes up with the assumption that she feels that through the blessing, she will marry someone that she hates. And I'm thinking, like, why would she think like this? Like, if you're on a path to find God and God's love, and the person that you're marrying he may not be perfect, or she, but this is a person that is, making efforts to connect to God, and genuine efforts to understand love and life and everything. So why would you decide that you have to hate this person, or that you hate this person by default? I don't understand. And this has nothing to do with the unification tradition. Like, the whole idea is to elevate yourself and your partner in love and become, blessed by God. I mean, this is the whole, like, it's called the blessing. Hello? Hate somebody for the rest of your life? Like, if you're going to think like this, why are you going at all there? I don't understand. I know many people felt they needed to follow because somebody asked them to go, and they felt, but like, if you are really like a conscientious person that, even if you haven't decided everything about your life, this is a very important decision, at least, like, the way I'm thinking is, like, put the highest possible expectation and dream and set a high goal for yourself. And to set a goal that you will hate somebody is, I just think, so depressing. But it's a personal choice. Like, she made this choice, and I'm very surprised and very much in pain to hear that she made this choice, because long term, this was really not a very good strategic goal. I feel very, very sorry for this lady. There again, she confirms it, that she visualized and projected her mind in the direction of finding the least likely person that she can like and getting married to that person. And that's a very unhappy thought. Like, why would someone put a very depressing and unhappy thought ahead of themselves when they have choice of many other thoughts? And when I was getting matched and blessed, I wasn't looking for like a person that I necessarily will like. I was looking for an opportunity to learn how God love expresses itself through a woman and through a man, and to discover this original beauty of love that God intended for us. And like, to me, the meaning of the blessing was this, like, find the original beauty, like the way nature is beautiful, we were meant to be beautiful ourselves. And this is an original thing. Like, we're not supposed to be stressed and unhappy and worried, and we're supposed to be like the rest of nature, like really living in peace and just kind of, it is what it is, life. Make the best of it, really add as much as you can, like, beautiful things to it. And I come from a communist country, so I know everything about being told you have to hate yourself, there is no God, there is no meaning to life, there is no purpose to life, and not just to yours. Nobody's life has any purpose. And when you die, you disappear. And the only meaning in life is to follow the Communist Party. It's like, I thought, I always felt, there has to be more to life than just like follow somebody. So I wasn't in the Unification movement because I was looking for a sect. I was looking for a connection to God. And I felt, this made sense. And it still makes sense. So I really don't understand how she put such a negative projection as a future for herself and expected to be happy and achieve positive results. Like, from any kind of counseling or like motivational guidance you can get in life, this is a very bad decision. Now, this is a very tricky statement she makes, that Reverend Moon believed that you have to be punished if you think about your partner. I have no idea which book she read it in. She doesn't quote anything. None of them quotes anything. Everything is their personal interpretation of what Reverend Moon says, without any quotes from any speeches. So please take this with a lot of sound, like a lot of, like, you have to be very skeptical when you watch this movie, because these are personal opinions. And I understand people make their own choices, and it's working or not working, and but like, it's a pathetic person to come and say, I blame this organization for the fact that I made the wrong choices in my life, and make a movie about it even. It's like, I mean, obviously she made the wrong choices, and she understood whatever she was reading. I don't know what she was reading or who she was talking to, who said that she has to be punished for having wrong desires. Yes, every religion, dear lady, teaches that temptation is a bad thing. I don't know why you associate the statement that temptation is a bad thing only with the Unification movement. Maybe you are not very well informed, but like, really, seriously, like, this is the only place where you'll hear this? Really? Why are Muslim women wearing hijabs? Oh my goodness, this is really ridiculous, Oh my goodness. Now, okay, she wrote in a notebook, so this is unofficial. Well, we don't even know if she wrote in a notebook, but she made the statement that if man commits sexual sin, he should be castrated. And no explanation, further explanation is given. So now, this is subject to interpretation, I believe. I never read anything like this being suggested, unless in a very passionate kind of attempt to show how bad something is, in a symbolic way to say this. There was a statement that I read, that because of how sinful life is after the fall, none of us is really good enough to marry a person and to expect that they can have a life that resembles God's love, unless they make incredible effort. because we're very distant from God. And we need to make an effort to connect to God and to try and connect with this kind of new nature, or by becoming a person of love, to try and love those around us, including our spouse. So, but castrated, um, mm, I don't know. I don't know. Sounds very, very unusual. And Reverend Moon does make jokes. So, like, if he was making a exaggeration or something, because certain things I find consistent in his messages, and other things I find like he goes off to try to illustrate a point with a kind of an extreme statement. So if she wrote this down and this was a real place and a real time and this was a real statement, uh, it's put out of context, and I feel on purpose, because probably what else he said wasn't fitting to the narrative, the negative narrative of the movie. So yeah, well, be careful. I don't think this is just the whole point of the statement. So I would love to see it in context, lady. So now our dear John comes back, former lecturer and leader. He wanted to be leader, so but then others are to blame that he became a leader and people follow him and listen to him. And he suddenly decided now that abstinence was something bad, like waiting until marriage is something bad. Okay, John, really? Like you're stretching really quite a lot the truth, you know. And this is not just the Unification movement that says this, or like, come on. Yeah, we got to be serious, like, I know you're making a buck out of this movie, but like, we're gonna be listening, like the world is listening to you. Like if you said or have done things in the past that you regret, like that's nothing to be proud of, honestly. Interesting. He laughs at abstinence and the fact that people were committing to and asked to commit to and willing to commit to wait before marriage and not have a sexual relationship. He finds that funny today, that he actually made this choice, which is like, okay. Is the other kind of life, when people have casual relationships, better life? Do you want to talk about this, John? So the agent lady comes now and she's interrogating, because obviously she's in there to interrogate people. She's interrogating one of the girls, and on the suggestion that maybe the Messiah, Jesus, was in the next village, she was asked, would she go to see it? She said yes. And if he was willing to teach you, will you listen? She said yes. And if he offered to propose to you whom to marry, would you accept? And she said no. And I'm thinking, like, okay, I mean, it's your choice, but like for people to whom Jesus is important, that's kind of a weird answer. Like, probably Jesus is not very important to you. Sorry to say this, but like, yeah, really. Like, I mean, Jesus said quite strong things, and it wasn't easy to follow him. So I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know really. Like, maybe check this again. Now, this is a complete lie. She says Moon needed total domination of every aspect of every member's life. Now, I don't know, like, what is she drinking? Or what is she smoking? And how she imagines this to actually happen physically. Or maybe she believes that Moon has some supernatural ability to, I don't know what exactly she thinks, but that's a weird statement, because according to the previous people, Moon was not with them in the centers, so he wasn't controlling anything. If someone was, then it's probably Gary there, or Kim, the other guy, who was there and telling people what to do. So yeah, Moon wasn't there. Moon was rarely there. He was very charismatic, but he was busy giving speeches and, really, trying to inspire people all over the world. So this statement that he was somehow there and trying to control their life, that's a complete lie. That's a complete BS, lady. Like, really? Seriously, like, come on. Oh, the clothes they wore. This was dictated by Moon. It's like, he never had a fashion brand. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and, being asked to wear decent clothes, not to wear like too revealing clothes. This is like, that's like what, controlling your life? What are you talking about? Like, this is weird. I mean, you're there to find out about God, and you're trying to make friends, and not to build the kind of weird relationships. You're trying to stay pure. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean controlled even the way you wore clothes? Like, what do you mean by this? Like, come on. Now Barbara's up again, and yeah, obviously she regrets she's no longer a member, because she had a purpose and a vision when she was part of the movement, and now, by the sound of it, she doesn't. And then she went fundraising. She went collecting donations. So I don't know how many of you have collected donations, but you collect donations, and now she says they made up all kinds of, that this was for educational purposes and this was to support orphans. And it's like, and she says, we made this up. And that's a complete lie, because maybe she is not aware of it, but like, there were many charitable projects funded by the Unification movement at this time, in the 70s and 80s, and now including. And a lot of the money that are being collected are going, of course, admin. That's a normal expense. Admin, hello. Every NGO spends money on admin. And a lot go on conferences and on charitable projects. So why is she lying that this is not true? I don't understand. But maybe she should check again. I mean, there are books, a lot of books about what's been done, and all over the world, actually. Sending missionaries all over the place, and this was, I don't think this was not clear. So why is she not saying the truth? I don't know, but she probably didn't read enough, or maybe this is more convenient to say. I don't know what it is, but there is a lot that was going on and is going on. So yeah, sorry, Barbara. Now, heavenly deception, that's an interesting one. They called it heavenly deception. Well, I like to read, and I know about marketing and advertising, and it's not a heavenly deception, but it's a deception in many cases. You emphasize the good things, even though they may be symbolic. In our case, real, but she didn't know about it, or she didn't care to know, or whoever she was talking to or guiding her didn't know or didn't care to explain to her properly. But I was interested, and I was checking, and I felt very proud that I'm supporting all these projects. So sorry, Barbara, like, this is really, like, very uninformed. So but it's okay, like, it's your opinion, and whatever you were told, if you believed it 100%, decide not to check for yourself, that's okay. But that's a very ignorant statement, honestly. And sorry, I have to say this to you. So Barbara's statement here at the end is that her commitment to the Unification Church was total. So again, same like Gary there, it's her choice what she follows. Like, I didn't follow what she follows. So her personal experience is not reflective of the movement and what people in the movement experience. And I'm sorry she made the choices that she made the way she made them, because I can see she's regretful and probably unhappy, and feels disconnected from a vision. but the vision is still there. And like, I never followed a church because I wanted to be religious, or I wanted just someone to follow religiously and without thinking. So I don't know why she did this, but I don't think the Unification movement or Reverend Moon is to blame for this. Um, yeah, very strange. Like, I'm very surprised, actually. No, genuinely. Like, I'm not accusing Barbara. I just feel like, many people seem like they just want to follow something. But like, if you dig deeper and, read books, and, it's actually, there is so much more to just following. I'm sorry, Barbara, for you, honestly. Like, I followed and I did fundraising, but I knew where the money is going. Like, I didn't know in the beginning, but I checked, and I knew, like, I found out we do incredible things with this money. So, like, I feel sorry for you, Barbara, honestly. Now, Barbara, another very interesting statement which completely baffles me. The prospect of losing God if you don't follow your leader. Like, why did you assign godness to your leader? Like, I know some people are very kind of demanding and pushy, but why didn't you research? I mean, like, even with Jesus, like, Jesus is one with God, but like, your leader wasn't, like, even if, like, what you're saying, that Reverend Moon is the Messiah, and we believe he's the Messiah, and he's one with God, your leader was not one with God. He was trying to understand and follow just like you are. So I just don't understand this statement. Honestly, like, I feel completely baffled by this statement. Like, what does it even mean? If you don't follow your leader, you will lose God? Like, God will disappear? Or, like, how do you compute, like, how do you come to these conclusions? I don't understand. I'll be very happy if you can explain, because I really don't understand what you mean by this. How do you lose God if you don't follow your leader? Like, does God disappear? Like, what kind of God do you believe in? Like, wow. Wow. Now, the narrator, journalist, spy, now take note, it's a spy in the movement who asked permission to become a spy in the movement, makes a statement that everything that the movement ever did and all the money that the movement ever made, they were for the personal benefit of Reverend Moon, and it was all a deception. It's like, proof? Who's gonna fact check you? You're throwing a big statement here. Hello? And the people that lived while Reverend Moon was alive, didn't find your statement true. There was an audit done in Korea that didn't find your statement true after his passing. So you're a big fat liar. Now, fact check yourself. Now, this is quite a silly statement. I kind of thought, and I said that Mr. Pak is part of the elites. But actually, recently, I was at one of the houses that was occupied by, and this was one of the big ones, because they didn't live in big houses. But let's say towards the end of their life, they lived in a big house for the last maybe 10, 15 years before 2012. So yeah, it was way before Barbara was working, way after Barbara was working. But I was in this house, and yeah, we were given a tour, and this was not their private place. This was all the properties were used for public work. So I don't know what you're talking about. Are you a journalist, or like, what are you? Like, why would you make a statement like this? Like, you haven't done any research. You haven't verified anything of what you're saying. Like, this is complete nonsense. I'm very surprised you're brave enough to say such a stupid thing. Now, Mr. Pak, the rich kid, appears, and he's complaining about his rich life and saying that he had servants from the church. And is he willing to pay reparations? Did he find all these people and say, really, I'm really sorry, and I want to give you all my money now? We just leave it there. But he doesn't realize the fact that for many of these people, they were serving him because they were serving a higher purpose. So not only he was benefiting like a rich kid and was obnoxious when he was a rich kid, he was probably treating the people serving him very badly, but he disrespects them even today for what they've done because he didn't get it and he still doesn't get it. And wow, man, you really need a life like this. Is so sad to listen to you. So sad. Now, I don't know why he doesn't mention that his father was a military. He mentioned that his father was a disciplinary, and he says that he was beaten up every now and then. But hello, Mr. Kim, or Pak, whatever your family name is, seriously? Like, we were all beaten up as children. This was the way to discipline kids. Now, how you saw this, this is your problem, like. But yeah, well, back then we all got beaten up. So stop crying and whining. Just suck it up, this was life for everyone. Oh, how cute. He was so angry at the family. And well, if he had any spiritual awareness, he would probably relate this to demonic possessions, but he doesn't. So he doesn't really care about these kind of things. He was just very angry, and and the love that everybody gave him in his family and around him, for some reason, was a bad thing. Now, let this sink in. Like, he was a very naughty kid doing bad things, and people still loved him, and this made him angry. It's like, okay, hey, what are you talking about? No, okay, Mr. Pak, you had a bad dream or a good dream, but you decided it's a bad dream and confusing dream. And Reverend Moon came to you in your dream, and you didn't think it was God. Okay, you were 13. You didn't think it was God saying you're my son. You thought it was Reverend Moon saying you're his son. And I mean, he actually, in the 90s, decided that the position that he's here to fulfill is the true parent of mankind, because he's restoring the position of Adam and Eve, which were supposed to be the parents of mankind. So technically, what he says is that he's the parent of all people who want to be part of the lineage of God, or he wants to represent God for all people who want to be part of the lineage of God. And is this a bad thing? And then your aunt is your mom. I've heard many people say, including the parents of Reverend's wife, Hag Jahan, that she was raised by her mother like a nanny, because she was the daughter of God. So that's the way I see your story. So I know you're trying to make it cryptic and like very X-rated, but let's see what else you have to say. Okay, Mr. Buck, now we're going into science fiction. This story is very interesting. I've never heard about it. The church has these stories, but is it the church or is it some kind of internal mythology that you're talking about? Because we don't know about these stories. And I've been in the church for a long time. I've read a lot of speeches, and we have not heard the stories. Well, we have heard rumors that people say these stories, all kinds of stories like this, but it's like, okay, where is the proof? Where is the fact? Is it a real thing or a made up thing by people who, are entertained to have stories. Now I see the threading, because it happened a long time ago. There is no documents, and who will verify these stories now? It's interesting. Now I hear his statement. He was a 13-year-old kid, and an older woman, his aunt, was telling him about these stories. It's like, no, seriously? Like, is this another dream, or is this, like, was an adult woman talking to a 13-year-old boy and explaining all these things to him? Now, I think Mr. Pack has a lot of sexual fantasies. How many of them are real and how many are not is easy to find out, actually. Do a DNA test. Are we just going to stop at the stories, or are you going to make a DNA test? Because this is some wild things you're claiming about someone who is very respectable around the world and within our organization. And I've heard different wild stories, you know, but I've never seen proof. So is this just a story, or are you going to prove it? Another topic of discussion is the holy wine that you are presenting as some kind of sexual ritual. Like, I think you really need some counseling. Like, did Annie do something to you? Like, I just feel like this whole thing is very, very strange and weird. Now that Reverend Moon has passed away, like, how do you imagine this is working? If what you claim is right, is true? Clarifications? Now, he says that he needs to keep it secret, not to make it difficult for the world to understand, but he doesn't keep it secret. he's telling the story, and I've heard different rumors over the years. I never saw any proof of anything, uh, but I've heard wild stories by people who leave the church, and suddenly they have incredible stories to tell. And there are journalists that want to print their books and make their movies, and it's like, okay, are they true though? Like, where's the proof? Now John comes up and he explains how difficult his life as a missionary was, that he had to uh, wake up in the morning and go and collect donations. Well, the way he presents it is he worked 16 hours a day. Uh, okay. Did you have lunch? You had breakfast? You were traveling probably. So, including commute, maybe it was 16 hours. But then I was thinking, like, okay, John, fine, you're saying this. And it's a terrible thing. It was a terrible life. And then I'm thinking about the Christian missionaries going to places without money, going to countries that would kill them, persecute them. And you don't make this comparison, but you make the comparison to a comfortable life, even though you believed you were on a mission to save the world. And I know your money have saved many lives and helped many unfortunate people, but you have no sense of gratitude towards this. For this, many projects were created with the money that you made, for which I personally feel very grateful to you. I have great respect for you. The other thing is, you could have left. Like, you could have said, you know what, I did like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's a strange thing to do for 10 years. But I know many people left, said, okay, I've done 1 year, I can go. You decided to stay. Like, no one was forcing you, because I know people could come and go. Yeah, of course, like there was, if you were kind of valuable team member, people would try to persuade you to stay, but it's up to you at the end of the day. And you decided to stay. And that was a bad thing, but it wasn't a bad thing that the church was there. It was a bad thing that you decided to stay so long that you really regret doing this. Like, you regret making this choice. And I feel sorry for you, because I wish you decided to leave earlier and not hold a grudge for the rest of your life, because what you did was valuable and precious, and that's not gone. Like, it's just your understanding of it that's gone. Yeah, every volunteer helps a project. It doesn't matter what kind of project it is. It doesn't have to be the Messiah. It can be just some idealistic project, and you should feel proud of yourself as a volunteer. So it's a sad thing that you think like this about your life and your experience, because it did change the world. It contributed in many ways to make the world a better place. And many people who saw you were inspired to see you. I know this because I was on the doors, and I know what people talk to me. I was happy to see them, because in this world, like, we're given a prism to look through at the TV. And what was most surprising for me was that fundraising actually allowed me to meet real people on a very large scale. And my concern and worry was that what the media was saying is true, that most people are evil and crimes are committed everywhere, every day. And I was terrified in the beginning, and I was so surprised to find amazing people almost everywhere, all day long. Not everybody bought. Some were upset, some were busy. But they were amazing people. Like, my kind of estimate was that Like between 80 to 90% of the people I met were wonderful people. And it was a privilege to meet them. And I don't feel I lost my time or I wasted their time or the money that we made was used in the wrong way. I mean, there are people that make mistakes and leaders that, make mistakes and misuse money, I guess. But all in all, like from the things that I see that Unification Movement has done, it's amazing projects. Like, even if you don't like the movement, you should feel proud of yourself for having the courage to do this. And honestly, like, I put my head down if you've done it for many years, because I decided not to. Like, I felt it wasn't for me. I couldn't find any more meaning in doing it. So, like, I have great respect for you for doing this, honestly, John. I wish you saw the value in what you did, and appreciated yourself more and appreciated the movement more, because a lot of good things were done and a lot of good things are being done again, even at the moment. Okay, John, I see your grievances are also because your life was monotonous and you think this is a terrible thing. Honestly, I'm very surprised you think like this, because I don't know if you've ever had a job in your life other than, being a fundraiser, but like every job pretty much looks like this. And you don't have Reverend Moon to follow. You have another boss that tells you what is right and what is wrong, what you should wear and how you should behave. And your boss is your Messiah. And you can't complain. You have to follow the schedule and you have to do what you're asked. And like, why would you say this was like some horrible lifestyle? And this is the life of most of people. Like, they go out in the morning and they have to commute. Then they have a job that, they may like, may not like, but it, gives them money to manage their family. And in your case, you decided to stay obviously very long time. It was your choice. But many people work for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, some of them, in the same job. Some are miners, like underground, like much, much harder conditions than you were in. I think you're not objective. And it's sad, actually, because you should value what you've done and what you're doing now more. Like, I understand maybe you made a buck from this movie. It's fine. It's okay. It's if you want to be over exaggerate your experience, but really for the sake of your own self, like, be more positive. Like, look at your life and say, wow, I've done all these great things. Like, even if you've done, like, I don't know how long you've done this, but you can say, wow, I'm a hero for doing this, because you are. I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I decided I can't do it like very long. Like, I just felt like didn't find any more meaning for myself. I want to do something else. So I feel like, wow, well done. So you feeling very bad about what you went through is like, I don't get it. You're not alone. Everybody is in the same, like, waking up, washing teeth, having breakfast, going to work, and coming back in the afternoon, late in the evening. If you're going far away to work, you have to commute for 3-4 hours a day. So your 9-hour shift becomes 13-hour shift. Or if you're doing a 12-hour shift, it's a it's a 16-hour shift, not very different from yours. But yeah, this is how people live. This is like normal life. And like the money you made, they were used for a lot of amazing things. You should do some research. Like, it's really like a lot was done with the money that you made. I don't know if directly, like, but I know what was done in the 70s and 80s, like, and how this huge, like, international organization was built that I met a lot later than you. I met it in 91 in a communist country, Bulgaria, and I was very grateful that like, I was not searching for a sect. I didn't find a sect. I know that, for whatever reason you decided you found a sect, but I think it's in your mind that you found a sect, because I didn't find a sect. I found people that were, like any organization, they had a goal, they had a purpose, they had a schedule, they had, commitments, and they needed money and people, to get to somewhere. And, they were pushing hard, but I always looked at the goals and I looked at what was done, and it was like, yeah, it's a good things. Like, I'm proud of it, I'm proud to be part of this. And I'm still proud to be part of this, even though I'm not so involved anymore. I still feel like this is amazing. Like what was achieved in this 50, 60, 70 years is amazing. And it's such an inspiration to humankind. Um, yeah, it's not a bad thing, John. Really. Like, please look at your life, and you've done amazing things. And it's okay, like, if you've made money from the movie, good for you. But like, don't feel bad about yourself. Now, John is going into this that he wasn't happy with what he was doing, and he decided to fast because he wasn't making enough money, which I'm thinking, like, okay, like, it was your choice. What could others say? Like, if you say, I'm feeling, I need to not eat, but I honestly, I don't understand why you made these decisions. Yeah. And now this other lad here is starting to talk about indemnity, as if this is some kind of miraculous term. And yes, it's a term that we use it's part of the kind of, there is a special section in the teaching that talks about how we restore things, restore ourselves. But this is nothing unheard of. Like, if you owe somebody something, you have to pay it back. These are basic principles, and they're spiritual principles. So let's see what they will say about this. But like, okay, let's see how are they going to try to spin this now.